Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to another video. That felt really weird to say. I have not said that in quite some time. If you look at the channel, I think it's been like 7, 9 months, something like that, since I last uploaded a video. I did that like one Factions 2 video 2 to 3 months ago, which was interesting. But yeah, besides that, this channel has been quite dead for like the last year or so. Yeah, not really sure what spawned the making of this video. I really don't enjoy making these kind of videos, or I guess not enjoyment would be the right word, but I feel guilty putting out these videos just because I don't really think they add much value. But I personally enjoy watching these videos. I had a good friend of mine, Zach, who did one which I really enjoyed. So I kind of just took this selfish opportunity to make this one as well and kind of give you like an insight into like my thought process and what's been going on. So yeah, OnlineZhD, the channel has been quite barren for like the last year or so. There's pretty much an easy explanation for that. I guess anyone that has been somewhat close to me knows that this year exactly I haven't really been into gaming as much as I have been in the past. Saying that feels really weird because it's not been like I haven't played games in general. I do, but it's just not to the caliber, at least my interest isn't to the caliber as it once was. I think it's also pretty telling the fact that I've hardly uploaded this year. There has been pockets of time in the past where I haven't uploaded at all, years and years, but nothing to the extent of like 7 months. It's weird because I've been doing YouTube since I was like 11, so this year has been really interesting in the fact that I haven't done that for like the first time in like a decade almost, to that extent. Yeah, my lack of interest in gaming is pretty interesting. I've tried to think about what it is. I don't know if it's really one reason at all or anything like that. It's just a lot of it isn't really interesting to me as much as it once was. Yeah, every game release, like there's been plenty of good games that have come out this year. Don't get me wrong. I have plenty of games in my backlog that I need to play. But it's just something where it's like every single time like a new release comes out, a lot of times I just don't feel as excited as I once was, and I've tried to question why that is, and why I feel that way. If it's fatigue, if it's just lack of interest, shift of hobby. I still enjoy playing games, obviously, but there has to be a reason why I haven't really cared to as much. Like looking back to a year ago, I was really making videos on the most ridiculous topics. I was covering like collector's editions and stuff like that when that stuff was announced, and like people would think, oh, you're just doing that for, the slightest bit of news for views or something like that. But I actually really wanted to talk about that stuff. I actually had like a big interest in that sort of thing, and I really was enthusiastic about like talking about that sort of thing. And now it's like Bluepoint will be acquired, which is, way bigger, but I still don't care about like making a video on that sort of thing, or yeah, like the slightest interest in covering that sort of thing, which is just bizarre to me. I guess to give like an insight on where my like interest had been as of the last year, is I've taken an interest back in like programming and getting back into like game dev. That's ultimately kind of where I want my future to go into. I think it's very satisfying, and I want to be on the game creator side of the industry in terms of the gaming industry. Obviously, there's the media side, which is what I've been doing for like the last 10 years, in terms of like discussing the hype and news and beauty of games from the consumer point of view, but that's really not where I want my future to be. It's to be on the other end. So I've been trying to take steps that would get me towards that goal, and ultimately doing videos like this doesn't warrant a lot of time because of that. I still think it's healthy. I think especially in game dev and like computer science and stuff like that, it's very isolating if you're like in a bubble just doing that constantly. So I think having like a Twitch or a YouTube where you can give your thoughts and talk to other people on like a daily or weekly basis even helps a lot with that. And that's something why I'm kind of considering going back into some sort of format of making YouTube videos. Who knows? Yeah, this last year's been great. Like I've definitely enjoyed all the games I've been playing, when I have played them. Have like a really good group of friends and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, man. OnlineZhD is in a weird place because on one spectrum, I really want to go back to making videos, but I know for sure I don't want to make the stupidest topics on like collector's editions or news that essentially won't matter over time. And that is only interesting like the day I upload it. But at the same time, in order to do those bigger videos on like topics I actually want to talk about, that requires a lot of time editing and it requires a lot of time writing as well, which I want to do, but as well, being a student at university, which by the way, I probably should mention, yeah, this background is probably very different if you haven't seen my podcast. Yeah, I have moved to college. This is my dorm. So yeah, being a full-time student and having other interests as well with obviously like game dev, it's really hard to warrant writing big scripts and editing on the side. I have talked to a good friend of mine, Josh Anderson, about possibly having him on as an editor. But even then, like obviously still writing would still take a lot of time. And it's something I'm still on the fence about. So I'm kind of like in between a rock and a hard place currently with that sort of thing. Just trying to figure out how I want to use my time and spend it. The podcast I've been running with Charlie and Justin, and lately just Charlie, has been really nice. I love being able to talk about games just that way. I always enjoy talking about games more casually than I do formally. I always have. I love and feel very proud of the videos I have done that have been like scripted, like my reviews. But I just really like talking, kind of just off the cups of my thoughts in my head, on the fly of when I think about them. And it's been great to have Critically Incorrect, my podcast, to be able to do that on a weekly basis. I guess I haven't really mentioned it a lot here on the channel. I know a lot of the viewership correlates between like the people that we have that watch the podcast and obviously this main channel. But if you're somehow watching this video and you don't know, I have a gaming podcast that I have been running weekly for like the last almost year now, Critically Incorrect. So go make sure to give that a follow, and yeah, we make some pretty good stuff over there. So yeah, that has been a really good outlet. I also have been streaming still over the course of the last year. It's funny, I think this is like the first year or so that I've streamed more than I have uploaded videos, and I really enjoy streaming. It's really nice to play through games and as well stream them to people. So I'm knocking games off my backlog, but at the same time, I'm interacting with people and talking to them. It's just something I really love to do. It's something that I see mainly as just a hobby, because if you do want to grow on Twitch, discoverability is really shit on that platform. That you can't pretty much grow off of discoverability on Twitch, because like if you even question yourself how much you find new streams on Twitch, like the mass majority of people will tell you that it's from like Twitter or Discord or something, or people they already know from like YouTube. It's really bad. Yeah, so essentially I would have to upload on YouTube to grow my Twitch, or do something on another platform to raise that discoverability. And as I just mentioned, that currently isn't a good place right now. So yeah, I will be still streaming, obviously just on the side, more for like personal reasons. And I still enjoy doing it. I haven't been able to do it lately because of, just college, and as well as I know like the mass majority of the people that watch me are in Europe. So obviously if I stream when I have free time, like in the evenings, they're going to be asleep. So it's not really worth it in my opinion. But hey, maybe that's just something that I have a false belief in. Maybe I should stream in afternoons and a lot of you would come in. Yeah, I don't really know where to take this video even more. Just, I guess, talking about the state of the industry is something that has interested me. I really have wanted to make a video on that. If I think about like a scripted video that I'd want to make next, it would probably be the state of the industry that we're in, just because I have so many thoughts on where we're currently headed and how unfeasible it is. Sean Layden came out with like an interview a couple of months ago, and it spoke a lot of my thoughts on the industry in terms of how we're going higher and higher budgets and longer game time, but that means we have to wait longer for these games, and in return I don't even enjoy playing these longer games, really. If you ask me, I really like the sweet spot of like 10 hours. I really love the PS3 generation because of that. I felt like it struck a really good balance between like high quality as well as just like 10-hour games. The PS4 generation saw a lot of like 15 to 20 plus hours. Like look at Naughty Dog in The Last of Us Part 2. Like pretty much every game up until that was like 10 hours, 12 hours. I know The Last of Us was like 15 to like 16, maybe 18. But look at Last of Us Part 2. That was easily over 20 hours. And while I did enjoy that game, and it's still one of my favorite games of the PS4 generation, it's still a long ass game, man. And I really wish it probably was a bit shorter. And that's just, talking about the linear games that have grown because of this. Obviously, look at Ubisoft and look at every open world game they come out with. The only game I'm interested in Ubisoft as of lately is like Mario Rabbids 2, because it's like the only somewhat linear game they have that interested me. Yeah, it's just so weird. And then you got the whole thing with like battle royales, and every game wants to be your main game with like a battle pass. I do miss the days where we got like built-in multiplayer modes, but at the same time, I know those aren't really feasible anymore, considering the industry that we're in, where free-to-play games are on the rise. And then just a lot of save games. This even almost goes into like PlayStation as well, because if you look at their lineup, a lot of it is just sequels. And while I understand that they're going to be making sequels on games that everyone loved on the PS4 generation, you still miss out on new IPs and new experiences. Not to say they still haven't been doing those, but a lot of the industry is, obviously going to be making safe sequels because these games cost a lot to make. So you want to make something that there will be an appetite for. I have been exploring a bit more, trying to get more on the indie side of things. I have created like a list of like indie games I want to go through that I have kind of put on the back burner, and I made progress through some of those. Yeah, just because those games are shorter, and respect your time more, I guess. And I guess that kind of correlates to why I'm more into game dev. But yeah, I guess to go into specifics on like the future of this channel, it's still very much up in the air. I really love these sort of videos where I can talk, loosely, unscripted wise, and just have a commentary with you guys. But obviously, if I did do that, that would just be strictly just for selfish reasons, just because I know that's not really a good way to grow, because no one's going to find this channel through that. But at the same time, I don't really know if I care about that anymore, because obviously my interests are pretty much in other areas. So it'd be more for the people that are currently here already, and just, for personal reasons, I find it satisfying to do these kind of things. That kind of covers pretty much everything I want to say. I don't want to stretch this out to like 20 to 30 minutes because it doesn't really warrant something that long. I kind of just felt like I wanted to speak to you guys today. Tonight was kind of feeling nostalgic and had a lot on my mind that I kind of just wanted to spit out and get it off my chest. So I guess this is how it ended up coming out. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on the industry as a whole. I know a lot of people are still very excited, and I'm happy for that. Yeah, I wish I still had that same energy, because I feel like I keep going into like every conference or any event, and I just have like the lowest expectations, and I don't know why. It's like I just feel like the industry feels predictable at this point, where I know everything's coming out. And maybe that's just because I'm constantly on Twitter, which is not really a good thing. And like you constantly see rumors before they're announced and sort of things like that. But yeah, it's like if you look back to like a decade ago and those like cool E3 conferences, like when you were a kid and you didn't know what to expect. I miss those days so much. And even like the friends I had back then. But yeah, it's weird. I know so many people that I used to watch back in the day when they went off to, this phase of their life, and they had just dropped their channel. And I don't really want to do that in a way. That's still why I do the podcast every week. I still love talking about games every week or so in some sort of format. I feel like I'll never really drop that side of me, just because I've done it ever since I was a kid. And I would feel very unsatisfied if I couldn't like give my opinions off to the world in some format on the industry as a whole and what I was thinking. So yeah, I guess just this will never really die in some way. But yeah, give me your thoughts as well. I mean, a lot of it's just going to be up to me in terms of what I choose to do. As I said, I don't really care about growing this channel anymore, because I don't really want to have a living based on this ridiculous site that is YouTube. And even if you consider things like Patreon and all sort of things like that, it's a very stressful life. Like, it does satisfy me to creatively make videos like that. But as I said, like, my interests are mainly elsewhere in terms of game dev. So that's not going to be really where I'm spending much of my time. But still obviously want to create content in some sort of way. Yeah. Sorry for this loose, rant of words that has been this last 15 minutes or so. Haven't made a video in a while, as you can clearly tell. So it's been very weird to do this again. But I'm very happy I decided to do this tonight. And I hope you enjoyed watching it if you're still watching this. So yeah. Don't want to be all serious now. Go back to enjoying whatever you're doing, but just wanted to give you an update on where I've been, what I've been up to for like the last year or so. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what you guys are playing, what's been new in your life, and what you've been up to. And yeah, I guess this has been it. I have been Online or Brandon. Make sure to go check out the Critically Incorrect podcast if you have not yet already done so. A selfless, shameless plug. There you go. And hopefully it won't be 7 months before you see the next video. Yeah, I did mention that last this video. That was a big reason I did make that video and I edited it. And I hated the editing process. I had like such a bad migraine after making that video, and like it steered me away from making videos scripted like that for quite some time, just because I didn't enjoy doing it as I once did. So that really spoke a lot to me. But here, look at me, I'm going on another rant in the outro. So I'm gonna leave you here. I guess I'll shut up now. I've been Online or Brandon. I'll see you hopefully sometime soon. Take care.